What if one of the greatest engineering achievements on Earth wasn't built by this civilization we credit for it? High in the Bekaa Valley of modern-day Lebanon sits Baalbek, a place that challenges everything we think we know about ancient history. At first glance, it looks familiar. Towering Roman columns, massive temples, and carved stone walls stretching into the sky. But beneath this Roman facade lies something far older, far stranger, and far more difficult to explain. Deep below the Roman temples is a stone platform unlike anything else on the planet. Not because it's decorative, not because it's beautiful, but because it shouldn't exist at all. Enormous stone blocks, each weighing hundreds of tons, laid with a level of precision that modern engineers still struggle to understand. Some of these stones are so heavy that even today's most powerful cranes would have difficulty lifting them, and yet they were cut, transported, and positioned with millimeter-level accuracy thousands of years ago. We're told the Romans built Baalbek, but here's the problem. The Roman structures above are relatively small and fragile compared to the foundation below them. It's like placing a wooden house on top of a mountain of steel. Archaeologists themselves admit the platform predates Roman occupation, which raises an uncomfortable question. If the Romans didn't build it, who did? There are no inscriptions crediting a builder, no ancient blueprints, no records describing how stones heavier than a modern jetliner were moved uphill and locked together without mortar. The builders left no explanation, only the result. And that result defies both ancient and modern logic. Nearby, in the ancient quarry, lies an even bigger mystery. A stone so large it was never moved, now known as the Stone of the South. It weighs over 1,000 tons and was clearly shaped intentionally. It wasn't an accident. Someone planned to use it, but then something happened, and the work stopped. Why attempt something so extreme in the first place? Why build foundations that seem excessive even by today's standards? And why does Baalbek's story grow more disturbing the deeper you investigate? Because Baalbek isn't just a ruin. It may be evidence of a forgotten chapter of human civilization, one that understood engineering, physics, and astronomy on a level we've long underestimated. And this is just the beginning. If this site already feels impossible, stay with us, because what lies beneath Baalbek only gets more unsettling. Subscribe now, and in the next part, we'll uncover why even ancient historians believed giants built this place. Most people who visit Baalbek focus on what's visible above ground, the Roman temples, the soaring columns, the monumental stairs. But the real mystery of Baalbek isn't what rises into the sky. It's what's buried beneath it. Archaeologists agree on one crucial fact. The massive stone foundation under Baalbek's temples is far older than the Roman Empire. The Romans arrived, admired what they saw, and built on top of something that already existed. That single detail changes everything, because it means the most advanced part of the site wasn't Roman at all. The deeper layers consist of megalithic stones far larger and more precise than anything Rome ever constructed. These blocks form a base so stable that it hasn't shifted in over 2,000 years. Despite earthquakes, erosion, and war, Roman structures elsewhere crumbled. This foundation did not. Ancient writers were just as confused as we are today. Greek historians wrote that Baalbek was built before the Great Flood. Arab scholars claimed it was constructed by giants or supernatural beings. Local legends tied the site to Baal, a sky and sun deity worshipped long before written history. Even biblical references point to the region as a place of immense religious and cosmic importance. But legends aside, the physical evidence refuses to fit neatly into accepted timelines. There are no tool marks consistent with Roman technology, no clear methods of transporting stones of this size, no surrounding infrastructure capable of handling weights that exceed 1,000,000 kilograms. Roads, ramps, cranes, none have been found. The quarry only deepens the mystery. Several gigantic stones remain partially cut, abandoned mid-project, as if the builders left suddenly. These weren't practice stones. They were intended for use. So why were they never moved? What stopped a civilization capable of cutting the largest stones ever attempted? Some experts suggest the site belongs to a lost pre-Roman culture, advanced, organized, and mysteriously erased. Others argue Baalbek doesn't belong to any known civilization at all. Instead, It represents a missing link in human history, one that modern archaeology isn't prepared to explain. This isn't fringe theory. It's based on stone, scale, and silence, a silence that grows louder the more scientists study the site. Baalbek's foundation doesn't just challenge Roman history. It challenges the entire timeline of civilization itself. If the Romans merely inherited Baalbek, then who possessed the knowledge to build it first? In the next part, we'll examine the stones themselves and why their size alone breaks every known rule of ancient engineering. At the heart of Baalbek lies a feature so baffling that it still divides engineers, archaeologists, and physicists to this day. 3 massive stone blocks, resting side by side in the foundation wall, known collectively as the Trilithon. Each of these stones weighs approximately 800 tons. To put that into perspective, a fully loaded Boeing 747 weighs less. And yet these blocks weren't just dragged into place. They were lifted, aligned, and fitted together with astonishing precision. No mortar, no gaps, no room even for a blade to slide between them. Even with modern machinery, setting stones of this size would be a logistical nightmare. Today's largest mobile cranes struggle with weights approaching this level. And that's using hydraulics, steel cables, laser leveling, and computer calculations. The builders of Baalbek had none of that. Or at least, they weren't supposed to. The surfaces of the Trilithon stones are unnervingly flat. The angles are perfectly square. Their alignment suggests advanced knowledge of geometry and load distribution. These aren't rough, brute force constructions. They show finesse, planning, mastery. What makes it more unsettling is that the Trilithon isn't even the largest stone associated with Baalbek, just 900 meters away. In the ancient quarry lies an unfinished block weighing over 1,000 tons. Another stone beneath it, discovered more recently, weighs around 1,650 tons. The largest cut stone ever found. These weren't accidents. They were deliberately shaped, prepared, and meant to be moved uphill. That uphill detail matters. A 5-degree incline may not sound steep, but for stones weighing over 1,000,000 kilograms, it's nearly impossible. Ropes snap, rollers break, friction multiplies. At a certain point, physics refuses to cooperate. Modern experiments show that humans can move stones weighing around 100 tons, using ancient methods barely. Scaling that process up by a factor of 10 causes the entire system to fail. There's no gradual increase. It simply stops working. And yet in Baalbek, not only were stones this size moved, they were placed with extraordinary accuracy. Accuracy that suggests control, not luck. So how did they do it? And more importantly, why would they attempt something that extreme if simpler methods existed? These stones aren't just impressive. They're a challenge, one that history still hasn't answered. If ancient tools weren't enough to move the Trilithon, then what explanations remain? In the next part, we'll test the so-called official theories and watch them fall apart one by one. Whenever Baalbek's impossible stones are discussed, the same explanations tend to appear: ramps, sleds, rollers, sheer manpower. On the surface, these theories sound reasonable until you apply real numbers. Let's start with ramps. To move an 800-ton stone safely uphill using a gentle enough incline, the ramp would need to be hundreds of meters long, massively reinforced, and capable of supporting extreme weight without collapsing. Such a ramp would leave unmistakable archaeological traces. None have been found. What about wooden sleds and rollers? Wood has limits. Under loads of this magnitude, it splinters. Even reinforced rollers fail once weight crosses a few hundred tons. Rope technology presents another problem. Ancient ropes simply couldn't handle the force required without snapping repeatedly. Then there's the manpower argument. The idea that thousands of workers could haul these stones by hand collapses under friction calculations alone. Each additional ton exponentially increases resistance. At a certain point, adding more people stops helping. You can't overpower physics. Modern engineers have tried recreating the process on a small scale. The results are telling. Even under ideal conditions, systems fail long before approaching the Trilithon's mass. No modern experiment has successfully demonstrated a plausible ancient method for moving stones of this size uphill with precision placement And that's just transport. Placement is an even bigger problem. Setting an 800-ton stone with millimeter accuracy requires controlled lifting, leveling, and alignment. This isn't brute force. It's technical precision, adjustments, feedback. So if the common explanations don't work, why do they persist? Because admitting ignorance is harder than forcing an answer. Baalbek doesn't fit comfortably into academic frameworks, so it's often minimized or glossed over. But the stones don't care about theories. They exist, they endure, and they quietly expose the limits of what we think ancient people could do. Once we accept that traditional explanations fail, a new question emerges. What if Baalbek wasn't built using the crude methods we assume ancient builders relied on? What if they had knowledge or techniques that didn't survive them? That possibility is far more uncomfortable than giants or myths, because it suggests loss, not progress. If the builders of Baalbek understood something we've forgotten, where else does that knowledge appear? In the next part, we'll look at Baalbek's astronomical alignments and the hidden intelligence behind its design. As researchers studied Baalbek more closely, another unsettling pattern emerged. The platform wasn't just massive, it was precise. Its orientation aligns closely with the cardinal directions, far more accurately than most Roman constructions. This wasn't aesthetic, it was intentional. The corners of the foundation correspond with the sun's position during solstices. Shadows fall in calculated ways during specific times of the year. These are not accidents. They suggest the builders weren't just architects, but sky watchers, people who understood the rhythms of the heavens. This kind of astronomical alignment appears again and again across the ancient world. The Great Pyramid of Giza, Stonehenge, Teotihuacan, different cultures, different continents, yet the same obsession with solar cycles, equinoxes, and stellar movement. Baalbek fits perfectly into this global pattern. What makes this even stranger is the level of mathematical sophistication involved. Measuring solstices requires long-term observation, generations of data, precision instruments, or at least knowledge passed down over centuries. It's not the kind of thing a conquering empire casually improvises. The Romans certainly understood astronomy, but they rarely embedded it into foundations of this scale. Their temples were impressive, yes, but Baalbek's base suggests a deeper, older intention, as if the platform itself mattered more than whatever stood on top of it. Some researchers believe Baalbek may have functioned as a ceremonial calendar, marking critical moments of the solar year. Others suggest it was a node, one point in a much larger network of ancient sites aligned with Earth's natural energies. What's important is this: whoever built Baalbek wasn't building blindly. They were synchronizing stone with sky. And when civilizations around the world do the same thing, with the same geometry, the same celestial focus, coincidence becomes harder to believe. If Baalbek aligns with the heavens, what else does it align with? In the next part, we'll compare it to ancient sites across the globe and uncover a pattern that spans continents. When Baalbek is studied in isolation, it seems anomalous, but when placed alongside other ancient sites, something remarkable appears: consistency. In Peru, at Sacsayhuaman and Ollantaytambo, massive polygonal stones interlock flawlessly without mortar. In Egypt, multi-hundred-ton blocks were lifted and assembled at Giza. In Europe, Stonehenge reflects the same astronomical precision. Different cultures, same impossible results. These sites share common traits: oversized foundation stones, earthquake-resistant construction. Sacred geometricestal aligmenthus isn't primitive trial and error. It's refined engineering, even more disturbing. Some sites appear mathematically and geographically connected. Certain monuments align along specific latitudes and longitudes, suggesting knowledge of Earth's dimensions long before modern cartography. Critics argue this is coincidence, but coincidence doesn't repeat at global scale using the same methods, ratios, and priorities. The question then becomes unsettling. Did these civilizations share knowledge, or were they inheriting fragments from something even older? Many legends speak of a lost age, a time before recorded history when humanity possessed great understanding. Wiped out by catastrophe, flood myths appear globally. So does the idea of gods bringing knowledge to rebuild, perhaps these stone foundations. were built to survive disaster, to preserve information in the only medium guaranteed to last. Stone. If these monuments were preserving something, what exactly were they protecting? In the next part, we'll return to Baalbek's quarry, where the biggest clues may have been left behind. Just outside Baalbek lies the quarry, and it may be more mysterious than the platform itself. Here, stones larger than the Trilithon remain half-carved, abandoned mid-process. The famous stone of the south weighs over 1,000 tons. Beneath it lies an even larger block, approximately 1,650 tons, the heaviest cut stone ever discovered. These stones were shaped intentionally. Their surfaces are smooth, their edges planned. This wasn't random quarrying. Someone fully intended to move them. German archaeological teams confirmed this was an active engineering project, not symbolic carving. The builders calculated transport and then stopped. Why? War, disaster, environmental collapse, or something more sudden? The slope between quarry and platform is uphill, an extraordinary challenge, and yet earlier stones were successfully moved. So what changed? One unsettling possibility is time. The builders may have realized the project would outlast them and abandoned it knowing future generations wouldn't understand how to finish it. Or perhaps the knowledge was lost suddenly. If the builders vanished, what did they leave behind beneath Baalbek? In the next part, we'll explore what may still be hidden underground. Modern ground-penetrating radar tells us Baalbek isn't a single structure, it's layered. Beneath the visible platform are anomalies, voids, chambers, and deeper stonework. Areas never excavated due to political instability. Areas possibly older than everything above them. This suggests Baalbek wasn't built once, but rebuilt, reused, expanded across eras. Each generation added something, but none exceeded the precision of the earliest builders. Like caretakers inheriting something they no longer fully understood, this pattern mirrors Egypt. Pyramids repaired by dynasties that couldn't replicate them. Monuments maintained, not recreated. If Baalbek hides older structures below, it may be a timeline carved in stone, civilization built atop civilization. If Baalbek was inherited again and again, then who were the original builders? In the next part, we'll confront the most uncomfortable explanation of all. What if the builders of Baalbek weren't primitive at all? What if history didn't start where we think it did? Evidence suggests humanity may have reached advanced levels before written records and lost that progress. Cataclysms reset civilization more than once. Baalbek's builders understood weight, balance, astronomy, and geometry deeply, not magically, scientifically. Their disappearance isn't proof they didn't exist. It's proof of how fragile knowledge really is. If advanced knowledge once existed, why erase it? In the next part, we'll ask why history resists this idea. Modern archaeology is built on timelines. Baalbek breaks them. Admitting lost civilizations means rewriting textbooks, questioning progress, accepting regression. That's uncomfortable. So Baalbek is labeled unexplained and quietly avoided. But stone doesn't lie. If Baalbek is a message, what is it saying? In the next part, we'll interpret the monument itself. Baalbek wasn't built just to impress. It was built to endure. To say, we were here. We understood the world. Don't forget us. The stones are not a mystery. They're a reminder. And now, the final question. Was Baalbek truly Roman at all? Let's conclude. The Romans didn't create Baalbek. They inherited it. They built temples atop something sacred, ancient, and powerful. Baalbek isn't a myth. It's evidence. Evidence that human history is deeper, older, and far more complex than we've been taught. And if humanity once fell from greatness, the question isn't who built Baalbek. It's what are we at risk of forgetting again? Drop your theory in the comments. Subscribe for the next mystery. And remember, history isn't finished being rewritten.